All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, as always, I like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashum, Yahweh Shai, Bahashum, Rachahakodash, double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations to you, sincere, hopeful elect Akim, pushing the word of Yahweh, Bahashum, Yahweh Shai, in spirit and in truth. All right, Ma'ah al-Rabayim al-Rabai Alap, which is to say 144,000 in the Lashawan Kodash, which is what we are striving to be a part of. Salutations to you, Akim. All right. So with this lesson, I want to briefly touch upon, the situation that has unfolded with Genesis, in particular Hakah. All right. Reading a couple of days ago, I was reading First Timothy, the 3rd chapter, and coming across, what the scriptures clearly outline as ramifications for holding the office of a deacon. All right, there's a certain conduct in which a deacon is to carry himself, and this guy clearly didn't do that. He didn't occupy the office worthily. All right, now a few years ago, I want to say this was 2020. I, as well as Ashiar, the brother Ashiar, which is no longer in the Great Millstone Northwest camp, we had actually seen him at a bar, seen Hakah at a bar, okay? And then later on, after we encountered him, the brother Anwar, which is no longer a part of this camp as well, showed up. But we had a conversation with him, and one thing that he had mentioned was that as far as the title of a deacon, he didn't take that on to himself. He said that was something that Alazar had, a title that Alazar gave him, and he didn't really like it, but he ran with it or rocked with it. But that was something that he didn't really want to take on. And when he said it to me, he had mentioned the fact that he has more than one wife, which is why he, mentioned that. The fact that he has multiple wives, but him being called a deacon, he knows that, that wasn't scriptural as far as the advice that the Apostle Paul gave, which we'll get that account. All right. So him knowing that officiating that office, it would be in his best interest to, in regards to having multiple wives, to not do that. Okay, but not only that, the other things illustrated in that passage, it's obvious that he disregarded, okay, in which we know they disregarded the sayings of the Apostle Paul's, holding that his words were not canon. Okay, his epistles were not canon in their opinion. And we see where that got him. That got him, pretty much shunned by the nation of Israel, and, bugged out of his mind. All right, because every so often their doctrine constantly changed. All right, which shows that they're unstable. So here in Sirach chapter 1, all right, verse 29, it reads, "Be not an hypocrite in the sight of men, and take good heed what thou speakest." So obviously, we know those guys to be hypocrites. All right, they'll say one thing, but their actions illustrate something else. And those guys, Sakari, Genesis, Hakah, Hassad, Alazar, they didn't take good heed to what it was that they spoke. You know, just the examples that they illustrated with cussing out the apostles and elders, or bad mouthing the apostles and the elders, shows that those guys didn't take good heed what they spoke, because that you ain't supposed to do that, man. Men that taught you, what you later attempt to condemn them. You attempt to shame them. You attempt to disgrace them before the whole world. Okay, believers and non-believers. All right, that's a great dishonor that those dudes did to them, brought upon themselves, and not taking good heed to what it is that they spoke. All right, verse 30 says, "Exalt not thyself, lest thou fall, and bring dishonor upon thy soul." And that's exactly what those guys did. They exalted themselves. All right, using Alazar, for example, claiming that he's the chief high priest. All right, that's you are exalting yourself above individuals that came in before you. Okay, that's like the Yahweh Shai saying that he's above the Heavenly Father. Okay, which is something that's totally out of pocket. Okay, and what happened? All those guys, by doing that, have brought dishonor upon their soul, to where none of them is actually even pushing the word anymore. All right, it says, "And so the Most High discovered thy secrets." That's exactly what he did to both Alazar and Hakah. Okay, "and cast thee down in the midst of the congregation, because thou camest not in truth to the fear of the Lord, but thy heart is full of deceit." And those guys' hearts are full of deceit. All right, conniving, wicked actions that those guys, displayed their whole time in the truth. All right, all they did was maneuver with untruthful, deceitful tactics. All right, they maneuver like serpents. All right, in a wicked sense. Okay, and what did the Lord do? He cast them down in the midst of the congregation, and ultimately it's because they didn't fear the Lord. All right, flat out saying that you don't got to worship Yahweh Shai. All right, you got to be bugged out, man. You got to be out your mind to make a statement as such. All right. James 1 and verse 8, it says, "A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways." Okay. In the NLT, it says, "Their loyalty is divided between the Most High and the world, and they are unstable in everything they do." And we clearly see that those guys' loyalty was not devout and devoted to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Okay, it was primarily devoted to this world, being that they never truly forsook the world. Okay, so they're double-minded. They got a portion of them that wants to serve the Lord, but only for monetary gain, for clout. Okay, for women, for the tangibles that come with this life, with this world, and they use the word of the Heavenly Father to do that, man. So those guys is completely double-minded and unstable in everything they did, all right, in the ministry. All right, James 4 and 6, it says, "But he giveth more grace, wherefore he saith, the Most High resisteth the proud, but giveth grace to the humble. Submit yourselves, therefore, to the Most High, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Draw nigh to the Most High, and he will draw nigh to you. Cleanse your hands, ye sinners, and purify your hearts, ye double-minded. All right. In the NLT it reads, and he gives grace generously, as the scriptures say, the Most High opposes the proud. All right. So the Most High was in opposition to those guys, because everything they did was fueled off pride, but gives grace to the humble. Okay. Those guys had not a humble bone in their body. All right. Once again, talking down and cussing out the apostles and the elders, man, you got to be a demon to do something like that. Okay? So those guys were not humble. Verse 7, it says, so humble yourselves before the Most High, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. So all those demons that Satan sent to those dudes in the form of, their mind, they didn't have the wherewithal to rebuke those demons in hopes of them not performing the demonic actions that they did. Okay, these guys had a goddamn. Excuse me. They had a. Well, you can say that their Passover was damned, being that one, they ain't eat with faith. All right, and two, they held one of their Passovers at a damn strip club, man. So that Passover was damned, man. All right, they held their Passover at a strip club. That's them not resisting the devil. Hey man, you completely let the devil pimp your mind if you decide that you're gonna go to a shake it joint and hold the Passover. You got to be filled with all kind of darkness to do that. All right. Verse 8, it says, come close to the Most High, and the Most High will come close to you. Wash your hands, you sinners. Purify your hearts, for your loyalty is divided between the Most High and the world. And once again, those guys' hearts, their minds, their spirits were divided between the Heavenly Father and this temporal world, all right, which is going to lead them to destruction. They're pretty much dead men walking, all right, because we don't see them repenting. All right, speaking as a man through the Spirit, I don't see those guys repenting. Alazar just popped up out of the casket he sleeps in, and wants to do a rebuttal to the Apostle Tahar and various brothers, various apostles and elders. So we don't see those guys repenting. It's just a matter of time before the Most High decides to punch their ticket. All right. So my last precept here is 1 Timothy 3 and 8. All right, getting into the office of a deacon. All right, which this guy Marco going around claiming to be deacon, the deacon, but ain't conducting himself as a deacon should, according to the wise words that the Apostle Paul gave forth. All right. So in the NLT verse 8, 1 Timothy 3, it says, in the same way, deacons must be well respected and have integrity. All right. That guy has not an integral bone in his body. Okay. They must not be heavy drinkers or dishonest with money. And that right there puts that guy to rest. All right. Tuck this guy in, man. He's done. All right. Dude don't got no integrity. Hakah has no integrity. All right. According to his wife, she says that this guy would sleep till 1 o'clock in the afternoon, wake up, be in the room for 6-7 hours, dye his beard, get dressed, and go to the bar to go get drunk, and then come back around 2 in the morning, go to sleep, and want to do it all over again. every damn day. That's what he did every day. Okay? And then him being dishonest with money, him using his wife, all right, on the level of a pimp, spending her money, leaving her in debt and whatnot, according to what she has stated. All right. So this guy's all these check boxes. All right. He fits what you are not supposed to be in the capacity of a deacon. All right. Verse 9, it says, they must be committed to the mystery of the faith now revealed and must live with a clear conscience. Before they are appointed as deacons, let them be closely examined. All right. So that falls on Eleazar. He should have closely examined that dude to make sure that, he would fit the role of being a deacon. All right. But both of them are both reprobates. So, how could that be so? Okay. It says, let him be closely examined. If they pass the test, then let them serve as deacons. In the same way, the wives must be respected and must not slander others. They must exercise self-control and be faithful in everything they do. A deacon must be faithful to his wife, and he must manage his children and household well. All right, here in the NLT, verse 12, it says, let the deacons be the husband of one wife, ruling their children and their own house as well. Okay? So when you're in the office of a deacon, it's not expedient, all right? Not saying it's not lawful, but it's not expedient to have multiple wives, being that you got the flock that you are responsible for attending to. All right, in a lower capacity of a bishop. Okay. It says, verse 13 in the NLT, those who do well as deacons will be rewarded with respect from others and will have increased confidence in their faith in Hamashiach Yahushai. All right, and those guys totally threw away the names of Yahweh and Yahushai. All right, they found no confidence in those names. Okay, so those guys will not be rewarded with righteousness from Yahushai in these last days. Like I said, all they got to look forward to is the Most High punching their ticket, man, and them going back to the spirit road. Okay, because we don't see those guys repenting. So I just wanted to go into that briefly. Abaratazah, this was edifying, and it's 11:44 right now. Barakatah Yahweh Shem Yahshua B'Shem Kakadash. It just turned 11:45. But Abaratazah, this was edifying. Until next time, Shalom.